Okay, does anyone have a conflict of interest with regard to anything that is on tonight's agenda? And I will start with April.
No.
Paul?
No.
Jean, no. Valerie?
No.
And Jim?
No.
How's that working for you, Kent? Can you hear? Okay. Okay, it works. All right. That's what Monica said. All right. Okay, now they're gone. That was strange. So, and our picture is gone. Sorry, guys.
It did.
I thought so. You weren't on at all yesterday. Well, I completely got changed. Okay, did you guys all have time to, a chance to look at the meeting minutes
Yes.
and make any changes?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't get to make a change. I just noticed I had just double checked with Jim on the 21st. The second ordinance related to the two-family dwellings, Jim actually voted no.
Yes, I have that on there. Crystal. fixed it.
Okay, okay.
That you voted yes, Jim voted no, and
Correct.
Jim wasn't listed there. And so,
Okay, well, he's listed now as saying yes.
yes, because I had her fix it
But
today.
he voted no.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what it says.
on this,
On the second one.
On the second.
Here it is, right here. So I know that he was, April pointed this out to me yesterday, that
he was no on
wasn't
both.
He was no on
Both.
both.
Okay. 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 So, motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda of the minutes of April 15th, 2026, and the minutes of April 21st, 2026.
I second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Darlene, you're up. Planning Commission Chair, please, if you're going to do your report. And yes, we all got your thing that you emailed to us. I don't know that everybody's read it, but I have.
Thank you very much. And we had our public hearing and public meeting on May 12th. And during the open forum, Mr. Blackmore reiterated that he's going forward with his project and sewer would be in Virgin in a year. And he underscored that he had spent quite a bit of money on land and engineering, stated that his plans met all the grading ordinance requirements, and he hoped the planning commission would not pass the grading ordinance. It basically reflected the letter that he had sent in, and that under commissioner comments, Commissioner Peterson expressed his concern about the replacement of the baseball field with another stage. He felt a refurbished field would benefit and would bring more use. Excuse me, I double wrote there, would bring more use that would benefit town residents. I, I stated that our open house was a success. And I especially appreciated the inclusion of our local business people and having the opportunity for them to sell some of their wares to the local citizens. I thought that was a great idea. And then we moved into our 6 items on our public hearing. And the first one was the one about unlisted and prohibited uses, particularly prohibited uses. We had been charged to do this a few months ago at the recommendation of the town attorney. He said, even though we had sent to you an ordinance stating that unlisted uses are prohibited, this is another layer that we needed. And so this is a beginning discussion. We will be discussing tomorrow whether we want that as a standalone section applying to all zones or tailored to each zone. So that's on our chair tomorrow.
Hold on. Isn't that just for commercial uses? The new and unlisted uses section in the code for the state code, or was it both residential and commercial?
I believe,
This is a different ordinance than the one you sent us, Mayor.
Okay, what's the ordinance you're talking about?
It's a list of prohibited uses.
Oh, that, okay,
Yes,
sorry. I
maybe
thought-
it's,
okay,
maybe
okay.
it was not titled correctly. Um, and Mr. Lacoste read the first paragraph of from one of the items submitted by Chuck Matzler on this topic. I apologize, my fingers weren't working very well on this. And there was no other comment, either written or oral, on this topic. So then we moved to the second item, which came about an ordinance amending the code to add agricultural uses in the commercial zone. Once again, it was to get it started. Riker had some good points about standards for this, but currently in our commercial zone, agriculture is not a permitted use, and we've had some desire for that. No comments, and we will be discussing this tomorrow. Our third item was the one about the Joint Utilities Committee. There were no comments, and we will be discussing that tomorrow. The fourth item was the review process for new or unlisted business uses. Okay. Once again, there were no comments, although one of Mr. Matzler's documents could also apply to this. But there was no comment made by anyone, and we will be just talking about this tomorrow. The fifth ordinance was the one about procedures for preliminary and final site plan review. And there were no comments on this, and we will be discussing this tomorrow. And the final item was the grading ordinance after Riker made adjustments based on our April discussions. There were 3 items. One was mentioned during March's public hearing that Mr. Stigler wanted to add a section that should have been added, but we missed it. And then a second was clarifying the exemptions and allowing for a process by which the town there's still no charge. You don't have to have a permit, but you have to notify the town and verify that your land qualifies for that. And then I forgot what the third one was.
the third one was discussed in the meeting. It was the expansion of the emergency
Well,
exemption.
No, the third item that was on there for public hearing was the change in the time at the
The
third
review
discussion.
period.
Mr. Metzler, I believe. And we changed that to match our subdivision code.
Correct.
And then during this discussion, Alan Lee brought up, there was a misunderstanding that if you had a garden or residential landscaping, that you would need a permit, and that is erroneous. That's under the exception. So we clarified that. But he did, along with Hannah Berry, brought up a very good point, that what if you have an emergency, like a septic failure? Could there be built something in there for emergencies? And that is what we came up with as a suggestion. And then Tom McCloss then read the first paragraph of Chuck Matzler's written comments on this item. And one of them, we also charged Riker with seeing if they could be integrated, and that is wildfire mitigation. Like if you need to keep your homeowner's insurance, have some wildfire mitigation, and it exceeds 2,000 square feet, what is our recourse? So at that, we closed our public hearing and opened our public meeting. The only item up for a vote and discussion, and we did have a discussion, and we allowed a public to speak on those items that were brought up during the public hearing. And we underscored that every single concern that anybody submitted about the grading ordinance over the course of several public hearings and work meetings had been considered. And two of the items that often come up are the 2,000 square feet for no permit, and then the 1,000 cubic yards as threshold for permit levels. These had been thoroughly researched, and I pointed out that as a result of the research, it was clear that these standards were common even in our area. For example, both Hookerville and Leeds have the exact same standards, and they're similar. They're actually a little bigger than we are. Some were more complicated, like Springdale. Some were less complicated, like Laverton, okay? And we talked about adding the emergency language, and Lee Ballard pointed out the comment about wildfire mitigation. In the end, there was a motion to approve with the following recommendation, and this motion approved unanimously, and the recommendation is expand the language in 16.862 D4 to include emergencies such as septic repair replacement, as well as fire mitigation. And with that, our meeting was adjourned. And then I updated the list of ordinances that are pending to reflect those that you considered at your last meeting. Are there any questions?
No.
So how many hearings did you have on that
At
excavation?
least three,
3 public hearings?
at least.
Okay.
Yes.
You've lost this video again because it changed the camera. There you go. All right, go back to the town council now. Okay. Oh, camera. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, thank you, Darlene. And now we have open forum. So if any of our people, Kent, you always have a comment. What's your comment here? Who the heck's Michelle? Okay. Okay, hold on. So we need to show him. There we go. Okay, Kent, go for it. What do you have to say?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to come up. I wanted to thank the mayor and the town employees for the wonderful opportunities over the years that they've given us as citizens to come and give our opinions in meetings. I think they call it a prost. Is that what it's called?
What, the plan? You're talking about the parks plan?
We sit around in tables and what's that called?
Oh, that was called a charrette.
A charrette.
That
The
was for
pla-
Pocketville
The
Rid.
planning thing that you had, what was that called? The papers about parks and recreation and.
That was just an open house that the
But-
people doing the parks plan asked for. Good God.
Lost.
And there's a form that we're to hand in by the 28th or something like that, that give our ideas again formally to the town, and I want to thank the town for that. I'm going to come back to something that I talked a little bit about at your work meeting the other night and put this on the record. Worked really hard to keep this to 2 minutes. Now that it appears that you might need Pocketville Hollow to be a park, I'm concerned about a few things. The park, which was a park from the documentation that I have acquired, has been excluded from the park survey and improvements that are being recommended or asked for from the citizens. I am concerned that a park used by residents and neighbors has been neglected in the process. So in those papers for our opinions at the activity we had at the town and on this paper that the town has put together, Pocketville Hollow has been left out because it's not considered in the park. Go ahead.
Okay. We were only allowed to choose 5 parks and we had 6.
Okay.
That's
All
why
right.
that one was left out.
Well, that's one reason to consider leaving that one out, but I would love to have had that debate. So maybe it's because it's so wholly a park that we didn't have to worry about it. But to continue with my 2 minutes, I am concerned, or we are concerned, that a park used by the residents and neighbors has been neglected in this process, and you make it a reason as to why. Now with the variance needed, I hope that all affected will be respected. And before the variance is issued, the Pocketville Hollow, has safeguards in place. Fencing with privacy and noise landscaping and consideration for improvements in the park survey. It is the only park on the north side of SR9, and yet we leave it out as the one that we don't have room for. In my opinion, the issue of the liquor license could have been handled more respectfully for all. Now is a chance to do this for those in town who use the park and now just show favoritism, and not just show favoritism to a business hopeful. Hopefully you will choose to not issue the variance before safeguards are put in place for the enjoyment of those who value Pocketville Hollow. The restaurant seems kind of hollow sometimes to us as to this attention that it's had. The restaurant can open without a liquor license, and the variance issued after safeguards are in place, and a plan is set for this beautifully potential park for all of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. Crystal, would you click the little button right next to that one? Oh, goodness. Okay, you're going to have to go to the next one. Okay. I just want to make sure that we can always see that the camera's going. Okay. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do that other because we want to see it. Yeah. Yes, you may switch back to the council. Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, anybody else for open forum? Nobody. All right, council comments. Paul,
You want to start with April or me?
I'm starting with you.
You're starting.
She's flipping it up
He's
on us.
picking on you.
Yeah. I have a couple items. The first is, you may have noticed on SharePoint, I put a fire folder on SharePoint. And in that file folder is the packets from March and April meetings. So you can go in and see the agenda, you can go in and see the minutes and the different packet of information that that we considered at the fire district meeting. On Thursday, we ended up creating a building land authority for the fire department. And the reason we did that, we used to do our bonding through the county. And now that we're no longer doing bonding through the county, we're going to have to bond ourselves. So we needed a building land authority to do so. Similar to what we do here. Yeah. And so then the next step is to issue bonds, and the bonds will be issued for the, we're going to try to build 2 buildings, the Hollow Administrative Building, and then I think Leeds was going to be then also included with it when we go out to bond. The second item is something that is a procedure that we instituted a couple months ago, and something I missed. I have to apologize to the council because I missed when this ordinance came back through. But in March, and it's related to the open space ordinance, in March, we started a referral and created a resolution to refer the matter down to the Planning Commission. So we had a work session, then we had a regular meeting, and at that regular meeting, we referred it down to the Planning Commission. At the regular meeting, I went back and looked at the minutes. The mayor said, I suggest that the Planning Commission watch this video. We made a motion that said, please address the language related to agencies, federal and state agencies. Well, what happened was none of the Planning Commission was at that meeting, and we did the amendment by motion and not amend the resolution. So they got the resolution. I don't think they got the minutes or how we amended it. So they didn't come back with a recommendation to us as to that agency issue. And then April came along, and I just missed it when it came up. I should have said something, didn't even catch it. But it's something I think that they'll, at the next meeting, they're going to consider is to say, hey, do we as a Planning Commission carry through with what we were tasked with? The lesson learned from our part, I think, is when we refer something down to the Planning Commission, if we make amendments, let's do it to the resolution and not just at the motion stage. So in the motion, it should be an amendment to the resolution. That way we make sure it gets in the resolution. I missed it. I should have caught it. And so apologize to the Planning Commission and the rest of the commission here because it's never got back to us.
I thought we already voted on that.
We did, but the Planning Commission didn't consider that additional language and didn't give us a recommendation on it
So
as
then-
we asked.
So the additional language is not in the ordinance?
Yes, it is.
Oh, they just didn't get a recommendation from Planning Commission.
Right,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, because my suggestion was to eliminate agency from that, unlimited to BLM and state of Utah land and eliminate the rest. They didn't give us a recommendation on the rest.
Okay.
So I assume they may address what they need to do at the next meeting. That's just my 2 cents worth. Thanks.
April.
So I'd like to address the problem of dust that occurs in windstorms like we had the other night. A lot of our residents were impacted. And mainly it has to do with these projects where the grading has taken place and there's no building on the site. And some of these sites have been this way for several years. And so the residents have to deal with all the dust coming off of these sites. I was wondering if we had any suggestions on perhaps we could force the landowners to do some dust control when they know when a forecast of a windstorm is coming, so that because some of the residents just got blasted by that windstorm.
It also affects the traffic. It also affects the traffic on SR 9.
That's-
You
that's
can't
true,
see where
too.
you're going.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
It can be. So, I mean, people just got their windows completely and with the light rain and then the dust and they had to hire somebody to clean their windows and they had sand in their, all over their patios and everywhere. So I don't like the idea that a lot of these sites have been allowed to look like that for years. I mean, at least like, for example, the Labrie project has noxious weeds that keep down the dust, but that's another problem.
Do you have any idea where the dust in Desert Gardens? I assume you're mainly concerned with what happened in Desert Gardens. Where did the dirt come from?
So the new project that was just graded
Oh.
out,
That, okay, across the highway?
yes,
Yeah.
that was really horrific for the neighbors. And then I know in the past, and I'm not sure about like White Bison with that area, if that's causing problems with,
Not like it
People-
used to.
no.
It used to be,
probably packed
Horrific.
down pretty well by now, I guess, but
it was really bad way back when they started.
yeah, so.
So I can see that the one across the street from Desert Gardens would be like that. Yeah.
I know we have dust control
Yeah.
in our ordinances, but once they
Yeah.
grade,
I can
they
tell you,
leave.
I can tell you that
then-
Riker has been sitting here typing away as you've been talking about the plan, so he's going to address that.
As have I.
Okay. Did you have something you wanted to say, Mark?
Yeah,
You-
that's
like you did.
certainly a legitimate concern, and I'll work with Riker and we'll review what might be available to us to require owners to control. Fugitive dust is the term I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, appreciate
I
that. Thank
think-
you.
I think if you look in the state code, isn't there something about fugitive dust in the state code? Mr. Snow? Isn't there something about fugitive dust in the state code?
Not in state code, there is in state administrative
Oh.
regulations
Okay.
dealing with fugitive dust. Primarily, it is left to as a development issue that is addressed in municipality and counties' land use ordinances primarily.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
April?
that's all.
It was mainly the dust?
Yeah.
Okay. That.
Our stickers for our trucks.
They are here.
Awesome.
They gotta
Cross
get
that
their
off my
trucks
list.
washed.
No,
They've
that-
gotta wash those
that-
trucks before they put those things on.
It'll be off
Yeah.
my list to bother
And
you.
you can't miss them. They're really
Good.
They're massive. Works. They're already going, oh my gosh, this is huge on the truck. They don't like it. And it's like, well, nobody's gonna miss that you're Public Works.
Can't hide now.
I can't hide now, that is true. You said, number 2, you wanted to know about stickers and they're here.
One comment, Val, about the sandstorm and coming across the roads. My first experience of that was when I was coming from after law school down to Fort Huachuca, Arizona in the Army, in the middle of Utah, had to pull over because of a big storm between Sandy and here. Just massive windstorm and sand and had to pull over. And I said, wow. And I'm still in Utah. I haven't made it to Arizona yet.
When Zion White Bison was first cleared their land and we had that big windstorm, I was driving down Highway 9 and the wind came by with the dirt, the dust, and I could not see anything. And I was just like, please, 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 let there not be, when it goes away, please not let a car be in my lane. But it was absolutely blackout.
Yeah, no,
Anything.
I've been there on SR 9. There is, I don't know where it's coming from, I can't tell, but from my house, It's blowing from north of SR9 to the south of SR9,
Mhm.
but I don't
Don't
know where it's coming from. But I can see it from my house, so it's close to White Bison, but
I have a suspicion. All right, so I have no comments. The only thing I was going to talk about, I will talk about when we do the budget. Okay, so moving on, next item is the public hearing on the budget. So I need a motion to close the public meeting and open a public hearing.
Make a motion to close the
Public meeting.
public meeting and open the public hearing.
I'll second.
Is this one that needs roll call vote or not? Just to open a public hearing? It's just a vote. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So anyone of our 4 audience members have any comment about the proposed budget for next fiscal year for 2026, 2027? And the answer is no. Okay. So now, a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting.
We'll make a motion to close public hearing and open the public meeting. Reopen.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so now we're on to the actual action items, and we have 3 action items. There is the discussion about, first up is discussing the budget for fiscal year 2026-27. And we have a resolution before us to adopt the budget if we feel that we are ready to vote tonight. If we are not ready to vote tonight, then we will vote in the June meeting. So any comment from any of the town council members before I let?
That's a town, oh,
I'm going to
Oh,
let town
okay.
manager, I was going to say,
I
please
have
tell
some
me.
questions, but
Okay.
he may answer them, so.
Okay, so
I'm
please
sure-
tell me you're not going to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of your notes.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. No, I presented at the special work meeting, and I think my budget message speaks for itself for the public. So we can go into a Q&A if you wish.
And did you want to talk about your page 17 in our packet where you answered the questions that you were presented by?
Sure, I would. Thank you. Yeah, a number of the questions at the work meeting related to equipment purchases. So after that work meeting, I spoke with the staff. And also tonight we have our Public Works Director, Nick Lehman, here who can answer some of these questions firsthand. But I provided a memo trying to reiterate the questions that were asked and also the answers here. So happy to continue this dialogue about the equipment purchases.
Yeah, might as well start her off. The aerator, generally you don't aerate more than once a year. So renting, you probably would be more cost effective still to rent that. Because you only really aerate once a year.
Yeah.
Have a lot of experience in lawn care,
Right.
plenty of it. And that's why that just stood out to me front and center,
Yeah.
because you only need it once a year.
Yeah.
It's usually a springtime.
Right.
Get the dead stuff up, open up the ground a little bit, fertilize, get the water to it, grass takes off.
Yeah, that's certainly fair, council member. In talking with the staff, it hasn't been done or done well lately. So I think they want to do it 4 times in that first year, but
It
I
doesn't-
understand
Doesn't
that
help.
on a
You
regular
actually
basis.
stress the lawn
Yeah.
more
Okay.
by doing it too much, in my experience.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, next besides the aerator was, do you guys have any questions? Then there was A question here, could an aerator attachment for the mower be purchased at less cost? We have one, it performs very poorly. Next question was, why is a box grader attachment needed when we do not have many gravel roads? And they gave an answer. And then the next question was, why would we need a fork attachment to the skid steer when we already have ones for the backhoe? And they gave an answer for that. So do you guys have any comments on that?
Generally, I'll just say agree to disagree.
Okay, all right.
Since we have the guru up there, if,
I'd like to comment on the aerator.
Hold on just a minute. Okay,
As we all know, the parks have been in disarray for quite some time. They need a lot of love. In fact, we're really at the point of either starting from scratch or trying to preserve what we can. And rather than tear up everything that we have built for so long now, I believe the preservation is there. As far as renting the aerator, it does cost, $145 per day, which runs about $500 for the week. And my guy did 17 miles within that time and was not able to do what he would normally do as far as making sure the job was done properly. For the amount of money it's going to cost, owning the piece of equipment is something that once we get the lawn care to where it's supposed to be, we'll be able to do that, like Jim said, once a year, resand, reseed. It's just doesn't seem cost effective. I believe after 3 years, we will have put through the effort and the time to own the piece of equipment.
okay. Any other questions about?
I don't know,
equipment
perhaps
that
we should
need them to
get rid of
answer?
the grass. It's not very conservation friendly for water. Turf.
No, that's true, but right now we're just watering with irrigation water, so it's our irrigation shares that we
Okay.
use, so it's not.
On all of the parks? All
I
of-
believe it is. I
everywhere?
believe it's
Yes.
all
Okay.
irrigation.
Mhm.
None of it is culinary water whatsoever.
No, the only culinary water is at the old town hall.
For the park,
No, that's,
For the
that's
grass.
irrigation.
that's irrigation.
A couple
Yeah.
of the tree ones are off.
And the
culinary.
BMX
That's it.
truck.
There's no grass at the BMX track, is there? No, okay.
plenty.
So we're talking about watering grass.
Mm.
And I said it's all irrigation.
so looking at the list from all the public works requests, and I know you want all of them and probably need all of them, but if you had to say which are the most important in your opinion that you have to have this year, which ones would they be?
Well, would need a copy of that list in front of me. I would say the aerator is one, the box grader, only because it is multi-use. It's not only for spreading gravel for dirt roads, it can be utilized to spread asphalt as well as sand on the parks. So it's not just simply a one-use tool. Every single park needs to be leveled out. It's never been done. That's why the puddles around the trees and such are in disarray. Thank you.
Parks, water, roads, and you can't address emergency management for the general fund.
Okay. So on roads, the gutter broom, 100% is a no-brainer to me in the fact that the town has not had anything to address the gutters of the town. The box grader, like I said
Go back to
before,
the list of equipment so I can see what he's talking about, since I gave him my copy. That was pages 14 and 15.
Go ahead.
the box steer grader, like I said, is a multi-tool. It's not simply for country roads. It's used to spread sand, asphalt, etc. At some point, I would like this town to get to the where we don't have to sub out so much work. And this is one of those tools in the beginning. If we can start doing our own asphalt patching jobs on a large scale, it's a start. And to me, it holds value big time for what it costs.
But then you're dealing a lot more expensive, buying a lot more equipment,
As far as,
patching.
I mean, honestly, you need something to spread the asphalt.
We're dealing with another
Accurately.
more steps, more money. That's where, I mean, I'll just be honest, I mean, these were easy items to be picking through. I am one, I was honest with everybody last meeting. I am one, we need to make cuts in order to not just raise taxes, because once we start that pendulum going forward is just raising taxes to make up our deficits, it never stops. That's my feeling.
We're not raising taxes.
The proposal in the budget for the resort tax,
Oh, but that's a resort tax. That's not by
I understand, but that's my feeling.
Me, it's a no-brainer at a $3,000 purchase to be able to save a $15,000 job. In point, it will pay for itself with the first patch that we do.
Are all of these in the budget? The entire amount here of these equipment asks, are they all in the budget?
These are all in the budget,
Okay.
but couple points I want to make is I did ask the staff to prioritize their lists, and there are things that you are not seeing because they didn't make it past me, including a couple vehicles and a new structure at the Public Works garage, the large ticket items, if you will.
Okay, I'm going to get into a question here that I'm like, was this PC and printer for roads? We already put a printer over there at the Public Works building. Why is there a separate
That's for
printer?
me.
A separate
PC.
printer?
PC.
Oh, I know you want a PC, but this says PC and printer,
Prior.
just the PC.
Yes.
Okay.
The safety lights and bars for the vehicles, I asked each department to put that on their list. Simply any work that's done on SR9. When I first got hired on here, as Jim knows, we had nothing. It was very minimum, and I could not believe that we were able to work on SR9, even as parks, working on the trees, anything like that. It was mind blowing to me. So a $3,000 purchase for each department is a no-brainer, long-term. The
Well, that-
consequences would be a lot worse.
Well, I think for safety, that's
Safety
probably
issue,
should be
yeah.
a priority for
So
sure.
we're not asking, he wasn't asking you to go item by item. He just asked you what was your priority.
Those are my top three.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The box grader, the safety light bar, and the gutter broom? Okay, those three were your top priorities.
Include the
Yeah.
aerator.
And the aerator.
That's on parks. Same thing on water is the safety light bars. Making the truck up to tool. The shut off tool is another item that I could not believe that Public Works did not have. And for what it costs, it's going to pay for itself probably within the first week that we have it. The GPS mapping tool, this is the bare minimum that you can purchase, but it will be something that we can upgrade in the future. So that way we're not subbing out when it comes to our mapping.
How does that mapping tool work? Do you do it on your phone? Or,
Be an actual GPS locator with a wand.
oh, I see, okay.
Because right now we use our phones
Mm-hmm,
and it puts us within 10 to 15 meters of the location.
okay.
And as our engineer will probably raise his hand and say, Sometimes that's not good enough
Mm-hmm,
because it's not.
sure. Yeah, I get that.
Those would be the top three for water. Parks, the aerator, the leaf mulcher, as everybody knows, the leaves here, we don't know what to do with them every single year.
They burn them.
Not here. But it would help us take care of that problem as well.
What do
At
you
least get
do
it down
now?
to where it is mulch.
What do you do with them now?
Right now, we stockpile them, we donate them to people that want to mulch them up.
Okay.
And they're being stockpiled at Pocketville.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I would assume that if you mulch them, you would still donate the mulching out.
Absolutely.
And a chainsaws, number 3 for parks. That's your top 3.
Yeah, his list is so little in the amount that he's asking for. Maybe Jim could weigh in a little bit on it. I believe we have needed quite a bit of this equipment for some time.
Minus the aerator, you know my opinion.
Noted.
Minus the aerator. But everything on that list, I can speak, every one of those things is needed. And I'll back up, we might have our differences, but backpack blower is needed. The last one died under my watch.
That has the capabilities to lay sand and seed after you aerate.
It still won't change my mind.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yep.
One more thing, Nick. As you stated with the forks, you know my background.
I do.
I was a union employee and safety was everything.
Absolutely.
We already have a set of forks. If you need a second guy to unload a truck, that is safer than having one guy do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that is a part of the new forks being needed. Is because you can visually see what you're doing without.
You shouldn't be doing much without, in that regard, unloading a tractor
be able to
trailer.
See what I'm doing.
Well, if you had a
So I
spotter,
have an extra set of eyes.
I know, but it's just, to me, that's an extra expense.
And that's why.
And
it's
we
down on
already
the
have.
list. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. And that's why it's down on the list.
What was that you're
The
talking about?
skid steer forks.
Oh, the skid steer forks. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess the concern is the deficit of the general fund at the end of the budget is trying to maybe cut wherever we can, maybe just throughout the whole system where we can. And maybe there are some things we can cut out. I mean, it does concern, I think you said that was not sustainable to have the deficit and kind of roll
Yeah.
with that. And we're hoping to get some of those taxes increased, but we're
Right.
not sure of the outcome of that.
Yeah,
So,
in the long run, but we've got a couple years to turn it around, and that's my job. And I'm going to do that. In terms of cuts, with any municipal general fund budget, the majority of your costs, because we're in the service business, is people. So in terms of some of these non-personnel operating costs, there's really not a lot there.
Mhm.
You do have some that you can cut in equipment. But it won't balance on cuts alone at this point.
So are there any grants or anything that provide like for the safety equipment, especially on the trucks? Is there any way to get maybe some emergency?
Yeah, we could look into that. The budget as proposed would provide that equipment for 2 of the trucks. The park truck has some lights. They're not a high standard, but I thought we would do that one next year, so phase those in. But, certainly when it comes to grants, we're looking at all opportunities
Okay.
anywhere. and
Yeah, my
everywhere.
feeling, lights on a truck for SR9. If
Yeah.
you got to cut other things to get those
Yeah.
in, get those in.
So if I understand, we're balancing the budget, taking that shortfall from PITI?
PTIF account. We've done that every single year.
Yeah, that's what I was,
We've never needed to use it. We've always done our proposed budget, taking money from the PTIF account to make the budget balance, but we have never yet had to take money from the PTIF account because we've always ended up with more revenue than we thought.
and that's why I think the town manager said it's not sustainable because you can only take so much every year. At some point, you're going to deplete that balance.
That is true, but we have yet to take any money from the
I know,
PTIF.
that's not what I was asking. I was
Yeah.
just trying to figure out where the money was coming from. I looked at how much is in that count,
Right.
trying to figure out how sustainable it is for a while.
And if I may, I want to clarify one thing as we're talking about potentially balancing the budget. The potential increase of 0.1% for the resort tax, which you can do by resolution. It's about $30,000 in additional revenue. That is in the budget.
The enterprise fund to fund the general fund. I
No,
don't think so. We haven't. I'm
no,
just.
No.
yeah.
No, you
No,
can't without a certain.
The
procedure.
utility fund is
Okay.
all but balanced.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't know about anybody else, but I would be willing to forego the compensation for being an elected official.
Yeah, but how much is that really?
Well, if you take P and Z and
If
Elected
if
officials that-
everyone would.
$45,000.
Well, I'm more, my concern, having done the budget for the past 4 years, I'm concerned about what you've proposed as revenue. I just don't think we're going to make that much revenue. I really don't. But I'll go with it. It's your budget.
Right.
I'll go with your budget and we'll see where it goes. But I'm not optimistic, but we'll put it that way.
Thank you, Mayor. And I understand that historically we're very conservative on budget estimates. I think you've told me previously that we usually surpass those. And right now I'm working on the mid-year adjustments, which I'll bring to you in June. And that will be the case during the
You're talking
current
about
year.
end of year for this year, this
Yeah.
fiscal year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're ahead of, we are ahead of budget revenue estimates.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. of
Don't you
course.
worry, I've got some more expenses coming up.
So Mayor, do you say that because, I mean, most of these revenues are less than the current?
No, they're more.
Well-
Okay.
Like our current-
Property
our-
tax actual right now is 111.
No,
And
our
we-
current year, this fiscal year, we budgeted $737,000 in tax.
Yes,
revenue.
I see that.
And he has budgeted 1 million next year, which
But we
means,
brought in actual to date is 970.
no, that's projected. That is a.
Well, that's
project.
based on just the next few months to the rest of the year. Is that
Because
correct?
it's got the current year to date
Yes.
is 813. The first row. is
Okay.
What's to date.
And so they're projecting
That is projected to be
until the end of
976.
the,
If it stays like it is, it's
Yeah.
projected to be.
are you thinking that
976.
the economy is not cooperating with us?
I'm worried about how hot it's going to be this year and that we're just not going to get that many tourists.
And
'cause
maybe
it's so
fuel
dang-
prices
I'm sorry?
and fuel prices
Yeah,
perhaps?
I'm just,
And it,
I just
Well,
worry.
on the other
Yeah.
hand,
About
people
the
might.
tourists.
no, and Mayor, I appreciate that. What I will say about my revenue estimates, they're not just mine. You know, we worked as a team. So
I
the
know.
mayor, our accountant Candace, and also our treasurer Becky. But those estimates are based on actual 2024 and 2025 figures. So none of the figures that you see that are proposed are higher than the 2025 actual, excluding the resort tax, and that's only a $30,000 difference there.
Mhm.
And then we get to building, like, one thing that always worries me is when we get to the next section, which is licenses and permits
Mhm.
and building permits. I'm always like, we have no idea what's going to happen with the construction industry. And so we're budgeting 85,000 because of what we've had so far this year, but that doesn't mean the construction's going to continue. And so it always
And-
just, it just
yep,
makes
fair-
me so nervous.
Fair, and
What
so
we think is going to happen.
on that one, I've, met with the developer. Our staff has met with the developer of Palosayan, which is the 22 lot STR on top of the mesa south of Rio. And they said they're ready to go. So we shall see.
Yeah. And then when I look at cemetery lot sales, what we project, I'm like, well, so we think people are gonna die. That just.
But we are
it's so
increasing,
morbid. when
we're
we have-
increasing the fees
They-
next
People
month.
tend to do that eventually.
But still, I just find it so morbid to do that. Anyway, okay.
We've been, I think every year we've been somewhat nervous about construction and it's
And
just,
tourism.
and it's still going. We were about tourists and then I think we saw during the pandemic, people staying close by and using the resources here. I would anticipate that also. I would hope for that. Nobody wants it to go down. And so instead of flying with what's the price of jet fuel now, we'll probably see a lot more locals,
Locals.
Yeah.
at least for a short time.
And
Okay, so what I was gonna point out when I told you guys these things that I had underneath your folder, these pages here that I was gonna talk about when we got to the budget. So, first off, this big one, I made copies of this. I was just gonna talk about this, but I made copies because you guys are gonna ask questions that I can't answer. And so you can just take this home and study, Crystal, there we go. You can just take this home and study it to your heart's content. However, that's this one that I'm looking at. I gave Rod a copy. And so at the DTEC meeting today, which is all the mayors, and we're talking about transportation. And what we were told is that the state legislature, and this was from Cameron for the ULCT, and then Adam Snow reiterated at this meeting today that is true, that the state legislature does not want to fund road projects until the towns have instituted every tax that they can to cover their gym, just so you know. They want us to institute, and so you can see here in this thing where they have the yellow highlighted thing says transit and highways, the stuff that's in the green, those are taxes, proposed taxes. And you can see from the legend up top, it will tell you what the taxes are up here. And so you can see that for the HT is a tax, that's a highway transportation, that's a highway tax. Only 6 of the 15 towns in Washington County have adopted that tax. The rest of us have not. So 9 towns have not adopted that, one of which is us. And out of all these taxes, not all of them is something that the city can institute. Some of it is county. But in the event, what they said is the legislature does not want to fund any highway, any road projects until everybody has instituted every tax that they can. And so I just wanted you guys to have this to look at. And that's just a study, and then they have a reference to the Utah State Code over here. Is it references the Utah Code, and you can go look it up. I was handed this at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I've had no time to look at it, other than what we talked about in the meeting. So that's just for your own information, what they're talking about. So it sounds like other than B and C road funds, there's not much going to be available for road projects. Second, I gave you guys all this thing. Okay. So for the 5 County Association of Governments, so I have 2 things about the 5 County Association of Governments. And every county, all of the 5 counties in the Association of Governments is to appoint 1 commissioner who goes to the on the steering committee, 1 representative for the mayors for all the mayors from each county, and then the school board sends somebody. So 5 counties, we've got 5 commissioners, 5 people for mayors, and 5. So there's 15 people on the steering committee. And so I was voted on by the mayors of Washington County that I'm the person who goes to the board on the steering committee for the 5 county AOG. Then we have kind of separate from the 5 county AOG, all the mayors of the 5 counties have meetings, just like the Washington County mayors have meetings, the 5 county mayors have a meeting. And I'm now the chair of the meeting for all the mayors of the 5 counties when we have our mayor meetings. And what came up at the steering committee meeting, 5 county AOG steering committee meeting this past Wednesday, they gave us this. And they gave us this little chart to show all the different things that the AOG does. Okay, so money, this is all, if you look at this, almost all of this money is federal money. It's all been cut. The AOG has made a request, and our next 5 county mayor meeting, we're going to be talking about this. They want every school district and every municipality to contribute money to pay for the 5 county AOG. Yeah. And then when we had our Washington County Mayors Association meeting, we had a special meeting last month. Money for homeless has been cut. And what do they want? They want all the municipalities to contribute money to pay for homeless services. So right off the bat, I'm telling you, when we do the first quarterly amendment on the budget, we've got the AOG asking for contribution. We've got the county asking for contribution from us for homeless services. So everything that the federal government is cutting, they're coming to the municipalities and they're asking us to contribute money. And it's going to, everybody is upset. We're all angry because it's screwing with everybody's budget. And nobody had plans. And they're bringing it to us now because they know we're all doing our budgets and nobody's got the money. And it's across the board. Nobody has it. And they're like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to cut, Meals on Wheels, the homeless services. They have some veteran benefit services. They're going to have to cut things. And they're just like, what do we do? And so they're not asking for a huge amount of money. I think if I go back and look at what they wanted for homeless services and for the 5 county AOG, if we added up together some of the other agencies in the county that have also had their money cut, they're maybe looking for $10,000 total from Virgin. It's not like it's $50,000 or $100,000.
Is it based on population or something?
I'm sorry?
Is it based on population, or they're asking all the counties or all the cities for the
Yes,
same amount?
It's based on, I do not have the spreadsheet. So we have a special meeting next week with
Mhm.
the steering committee for the 5-county AOG has a special meeting next week where we're getting the spreadsheet with the recommendation.
Okay.
And then for the homeless, the county gave us a spreadsheet with what they wanted and all the mayors got angry and we're like, no. But because the county was basically asking us to fund it and the county was going to put in a little bit. We're like, no. We're not paying, no, the county has all this money. They can cut their salaries, come on, look at what they get. And so the mayor's just, so now the county's like, whoa, 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 because we all got so mad that they're like, okay, let's reassess. But they're also coming up with a spreadsheet for that. And so it's just that with all the cuts that are happening at the federal level, they've gone to the states and said, states, you've got to make it up. And so what are the states doing? They're coming to the municipalities and the counties and saying, we need money from you guys. And that's happening. And why did they do this?
There's an election coming up.
No.
No,
We're
I'm saying
fighting
there
tax
is an
cuts.
election coming
Fighting
up.
Tax cuts for the wealthy. That's
I
what
know.
this is.
Yes.
So anyway, so now it's coming out of our pockets. So I just
Well-
wanted you guys to know that they're coming to us for money.
13,950 for security cameras.
Yes.
Send it to the AOG.
Oh, I don't think so. Oh, no, we need the security cameras.
So
Okay.
you don't think that we can put those off for until next?
Oh,
another-
they were like, so I will tell you what happened when we were at the county meeting for the homelessness. We were sitting there in this meeting and Adam Snow was sitting there going, I need confirmation from every town right now. Because he was walking out the door and calling and talking to somebody at the state legislature who wanted to know what's going on in Washington County. Because they said, if you're not going to do it, the state's going to impose it on us. And so we're like, okay, all right. But they're reassessing because we all got so mad. And so I'll see what happens at 5-county next week. So, and then we have a 5-county mayor meeting on June 16th and we'll talk about it, see what they want to do, what everybody wants to do. But I just want you guys to know that we're having demands on our budget that we've never had before.
Demands, but that doesn't mean we have to contribute. We have to
No,
decide what.
no, but what they were saying is, they're not asking for a huge amount. I'll tell you, as I said, maybe all the contributions that they're looking for from the different agencies put together might come up to $10,000. So it's not a huge amount of money.
To some municipalities, to Rockville, that's a huge amount of money.
Oh, yes, but Rockville would be less because of their.
Okay, so it would be. okay.
Yes, and so that's why I did my little spreadsheet that Crystal found that I accidentally had. She ended up with her stuff where I was trying to add up all the towns, how many towns and cities and towns there are in the different counties. For example, Beaver County has 3. There's 2 cities and 1 town. There's only 3 municipalities in Beaver County.
No kidding.
Kane County has 5.
Wow.
1 city, 4 towns. Iron County has 6. So the 2 big counties are Garfield and Washington. And Washington, they consider all the other counties, as I see at these meetings.
Mhm.
The other counties are look at Washington County like we're the gorilla in the room. And so anyway, the other town, I mean, everybody's poor. So I just wanted you guys to know that's what's coming. Because where are they going to make up the money to fund these services for the homeless and
So
the,
you're going to have
the
a
poor.
better idea next
in a
week?
couple of weeks,
Okay.
yeah. So,
So we'll tack that on the budget.
well, I figure it'll be like at the budget amendment, the first budget amendment. We wouldn't have to have it for this, but I wanted you guys to be aware
I suppose
Thank
we'd
you.
vote on that as a council.
later.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, all of those contributions would have to be voted on by the
Yes.
council. Okay, so are we going to vote for the resolution to approve the budget tonight? Or do you guys want to, because we're going to do, this is for next fiscal year. In June, we'll be doing the one for this fiscal year, the wrapping up the budget for the end of this fiscal year. We'll be voting on that in June. So do you guys feel comfortable voting on this right now? As is? If so, we could pass this, we could vote for this resolution. I mean, I've got some concerns about the budget, but there's nothing that's going to change. I don't think anything's going to change between now and next month. So I myself am ready to vote on it. I just don't know what you guys think.
I do have a follow-up question. Did we find out how much an election is going to cost?
I don't believe so. Crystal was looking into it, but we've budgeted 1,500 and we don't have confirmation. Yeah.
I have another question. It's about the fuel on like Parks and Rec 1064, 252, or just anything that involves fuel. Are we looking at the higher fuel prices when you're taking that into account on the budget? Or does that actually mean is automobile expense fuel?
Right.
So,
Well, I would assume the fuel we get, there's 2 tanks over by the Public Works building. The one gets filled with diesel and one's with regular gas. And then they just pull up and fill up the town vehicles there.
right.
So it's really just what it's going to cost us to keep refilling those tanks. And I
Yeah,
don't
well, the
know-
fuel prices, my point is that they've gone up
They've gone
pretty
up.
substantially.
Yeah.
So
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
we were looking at
We-
it before.
We had over budgeted a bit for that this year,
Okay.
even with the current fuel prices, but we'll have to look at it mid-year.
Okay.
It's tough to guess, but that's certainly a legitimate question.
Okay.
And we'll keep an eye on that.
I'm not laughing because I just saw something in the news, I think it was today, about some town, some city somewhere where they were going to buy a bunch of electric bikes for some of their public works people to go around.
Let's go. Put that aerator behind your electric bike.
It's like, I can't wait to see this. I'm sorry, Paul, you were about to say
I
something.
was going to say, I'd be all right voting today, but my question would be, or my suggestion would be to go ahead and approve it and accept what we would do is hold off on purchasing some of these items until mid-year to see where they are.
Oh,
I mean, we could approve the budget, include them in the budget with direction to the town manager, because that's what Nick did. He gave us his priorities.
Mhm.
To go ahead and do the priorities and then hold off on the other until mid-year to see kind of where we fall on the election, where we fall on the revenue.
Mhm.
Uh,
well,
and-
that's generally what we've done in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah,
Even
but
though I
the-
didn't have a list of equipment like this.
Yeah, but the minute we
buy
give
throughout the year.
the
and see how we-
authorization, then that gives them the right to buy it. If we just hold off on some of these
Okay.
items and go ahead with the ones that Nick said he needs, then yes. And so I would say the ones that Nick highlighted, we can go ahead and purchase. The other ones we don't. Parks, of course, everything, we'll still have to resolve the aerator. Emergency management is so little right now, and that's emergency. We probably should do that. Security cameras, I'd like to hold off till mid-year on that. That's a big ticket item.
Okay.
And April asked, do we need them now? And I never heard an answer on that.
Oh, no, that's why we don't have them, because I would have had it done as part of the renovation of the building. This was part of the renovation of the building, but we were running out of money, so
Money,
we didn't do it.
Okay, so I'd hold off on that until mid-year and then make a decision on that. That would be my suggestion.
Well,
I don't want to make a
It's not
motion
like-
until I hear
okay.
somebody else
I'm
comfortable with
perfectly
it. or not.
fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's, I'm just like, under no circumstances did I ever think that as soon as we approved the budget come July 1st, that Mark was going to run out and buy everything that was on this list. I mean, of course, he was going to spread it out over the year and see how revenue was going. I mean, that's what a responsible manager would do. It just seems
Yeah.
like that's just common sense, but okay.
Based on the discussion, what staff could do is come back to you at a work meeting and suggest what should be purchased before mid-year and what could wait until mid-year, if that's okay.
Yeah, and we can do that after approval of the budget. Okay.
Sure.
Okay,
So,
so
What
what do you guys
resolution
think?
number is it, would it be? Then is that the resolution we're adopting? the budget number?
NOP, I think we're on Q. I think we're on rep R. We did a Q last month? I just did the
Mhm.
minutes and I didn't see a Q. Okay. All right. I'll tell you, when you look at the resolution, where you have passed and adopted by the Town Council of Virgin this May day of, I think it's this day of. I think the word may got him put in the wrong spot. I'll circle it for you when okay. You're not looking. Go to the resolution. It's on page
Oh,
27.
I see this, passed and
27.
adopted this May day, okay.
are you planning to make the motion?
I
Yeah.
can.
Oh, I can too.
Oh, go ahead.
This day of May
Yes.
19th.
Do you see that
Mhm.
problem?
Yeah.
This is in the resolution, and it says this May.
So it should be split.
This day of.
May day. Oh, gosh, it's not very helpful, is it?
Go ahead and second it.
Go to 27. Okay, you're still going. There we go. There it is.
Okay, I will move
This
that
May
we,
day of,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, we got to fix it on every one of them then. Okay.
I move that we adopt the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget and adopt the resolution. Don't have that. Let me get the measure. It's in front of me.
R,
Resolution R,
R 2026 R-R.
let me rephrase that.
Wait,
Okay.
I move that we approve resolution 2026R, adopting the 2026-2027 fiscal year budget for the Virgin Town fiscal years beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, with the town manager bringing back a list of those improvements that were recommended by the town manager and approximate dates as to when they would be purchased. And of course, amending the resolution from this May day of to this day of May 19th, 2026. Did I cover that right,
Yes.
Mark?
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. So April,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Valerie,
Yes.
Jim,
No.
Jean, yes. Okay.
One other comment for the town manager for here. I no longer use the laptop that,
So it's available?
so it's available. I don't know if it would work for emergency services because it's 5 years old,
I was gonna say it's an old computer.
but I can bring it in and
Mhm.
it's no reason for me to keep it. I use it maybe once a year, twice a year,
Okay.
but I use mostly my own iPad. So I can bring it back in and
Be
have
happy
you
to
guys take a
try to
look at it.
reuse it. Thank you.
Reuse it.
Yeah, and I can tell you like on this stuff for parks where they're asking for an iPad, the asset management plan that Sunrise is doing for us, which should be done in another couple months, from what they've said. One of the things that we're getting as part of that funding from the government, from state, is an iPad. They're buying us an iPad as part of that thing. So that'll be, parks can get that iPad. So there's things that are gonna happen that will reduce some of this. Okay, so that is item 1, A1. Now we're on item A2, a resolution referring a proposed ordinance. This is the shuttle stop ordinance, and this is a resolution sending this over to Planning Commission to address. And this we talked about at previous meetings where I had wanted to take shuttle stop as a use out of any place that allowed a shuttle stop in town, because the way it's set up as a use right now, that allows the individual businesses to put in the shuttle stop. And it should not be that way. It should be that the town, if there was going to be a shuttle system, that the town would run it and that the shuttle stops would be in the UDOT right of way and not on a commercial property. So I felt we should just remove shuttle stop as a use anywhere in town, because it would be at a UDOT right of way. So,
I agree with that.
okay, so this is, let's see, Mark has, so how are we going to do this? Because we have Mark's report and then we have Riker's report. So what do we do?
Well, and you just provided a very thorough report
Okay.
yourself. So if I may add to that, so this was last discussed at the April council work meeting, and the consensus was to have town planner Riker draft an ordinance, which he has done. So the next step in the process would be to have you refer this to the planning commission for public hearing and a recommendation. And with that, Riker, do you have anything to add?
Nope, nothing to add on this particular ordinance. It's fairly simple in what it does, so.
So let's see what we have here. Remove shuttle stop, remove shuttle stop. Yep, it's a 2-page ordinance. So here we go. Very short. So the very end of the little packet is the actual resolution. So given,
We're on S.
we're on S, but the way you were you were concerned about what happened with the open space ordinance. I want to make sure that we do this right.
We don't have, unless we try to add some amendment.
Okay, all right, I have no amendment to this. Anybody else? Any discussion on this? Nope, okay. Okay, let's vote on it then.
Need a motion, so I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I move for approval of resolution 2026-S Sierra. So S, a resolution of the Virgin Town, Utah, referring the proposed ordinance amending the Virgin Municipal Code to remove shuttle stop as a conditional use from commercial zone 1640 and Highway Resort Zone 1644 to the Virgin Town Planning Commission for review, public hearing, and recommendation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Since it,
What?
shouldn't resolutions be a roll call vote? I guess it doesn't create any liability, so.
Yeah, it's just sending it over to planning commission. The other one was adopting the budget, so I did. Yeah. Okay, so this last one now is the last item on our agenda. This is A3. Is the grading ordinance. So I am going to let Mark introduce this, and then I'm thinking maybe we have Riker address what these changes were that came out of Planning Commission. Because it's one of the things I wanted to be absolutely sure I understood is what the concerns were from the public and how they were addressed.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. As you know, the town hasn't required grading permits for some time now, several years perhaps. Grading permits are certainly a best practice in any community, especially here with stormwater runoff and so forth. The Planning Commission has held multiple hearings on this. There were a number of comments from the public. And as Planning Commission Chair Darlene Pope stated, I think everyone was addressed in some form or fashion. So the ordinance before you reflects those final revisions, and I'll defer to Town Planner Riker Steglich to provide a little more detail on all of those changes. There were quite a few. Thank you.
Okay, before you talk, Riker, before you speak, I'm like, this is 12 pages. Part of me is like, does a grading ordinance really need to be 12?
I'm not sure it started out as 12.
I did not, because I remember the proposed grading or the very first one, and it was very simple. And now it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? So, Riker, tell
yeah.
us what happened.
It's covering a lot of ground, that's for sure. How this pun intended, I guess. One of the, I'll just start going through some of the changes that were made based on the comments that were received at the public hearing and in conversation and discussion with the Planning Commission. One of those was pertaining to how exemptions are handled. We have exemptions in this ordinance for agricultural uses, residential uses, and emergency and public facility projects. How those exemptions are determined came up as a point of conversation. And so we added a section that is, it's under E, and it is the pre-activity notice for certain exemptions. What this does is sets up a process for property owners that want to seek an
Page
exemption.
41.
Yes, line 124. For property owners that want to seek the use of one of these exemptions, it creates a process for them to notify the town. But there is a built-in timeline there where if they do not receive written confirmation that they don't comply with this exemption, then they can proceed under their proposed exemption.
So they have to come in, because I do remember us discussing this in the past. I think it was me and you that were talking about this, not at the town council meeting, but just conferring ourselves, that if people require a grading permit, that they, even if it was free, they still need to come in and get a permit.
So
If they're exempt, they still need to come in and get verification that they're exempt before they start digging.
So this isn't necessarily a permit itself. It is just requiring people to come to submit through civic review a notice that they are claiming an exemption, which gives the town the opportunity to review that and ensure that it does fall under that exemption.
Before they start doing anything.
Correct. There's a 5 business day period that's built in for review. And if they have not heard from the community development director or town designee in that time period, then they can proceed under that exemption.
Okay, so I interrupted your presentation. Go ahead.
Kind of stemming off of that a little bit, in this most recent public hearing, there was a discussion about utility repairs specifically related to septic. That exemption under D4, it's line 115. That was expanded to include emergency repairs to or replacement of on-site utility systems, including septic systems and similar sanitary facilities. We also included fire mitigation purposes where it's in the case of an emergency, that also falls under that exemption. And then
So with that, so if you had septic system repair, would you go through the pre-activity notice for certain exemptions, or we wouldn't have to do, is that just for agriculture?
So it is for the agriculture and the residential exemption specifically.
Oh, I see that.
Over certain square feet.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay, got it. So if you were doing an emergency, you could go ahead and proceed with it
Correct.
without, okay.
Mhm.
And then let us know later, after the fact, that there was an emergency.
Yeah, and
'Cause I mean,
that's not built in,
yeah.
but that's something that we administratively certainly want to be apprised of.
Okay, okay. You look like you want to say something, Heath. What page, where are you?
134, anywhere, yeah.
Oh, I see one right now, yeah. Or town they all say or town designee.
Yes. I don't know that we have a position, whether it be an appointed position or anything like that. I mean, we've got it.
For the community development director, right?
Yes.
Yes,
I-
and I wanted us to
I
do that
get
a year
that
ago.
we intend at some point in time, as this town grows up, that there will be a community development department probably, or how, that was my just question. Are we using the right terminology?
We need to, my plan is when I take you on the tour after this meeting is over here, we have two offices that I'm calling the Community Development Department, even though we don't formally have a Community Development Department set up.
Yeah.
And then when we hired Mark as town manager, and he said he would also serve as community development director, I had proposed in July of last year that we create a job description for a community development director, and everybody said, just wait. And so now here we are. And so we never did it.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to do it because
Okay.
we talked about doing it later, right, Mark? We had talked about doing it later.
That's my understanding. And I know my contract with the town is quite specific in terms of the duties for a community development director, so it wouldn't be a stretch to take those and develop a job description. But I think what Heath is referring to is creating more of a formal administrative presence in the ordinance.
Yes, I understand. We're referring to a position that we haven't really formally created.
Formalized, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I always have a little bit of hesitancy in adopting ordinances, contemplating a land use decision, because this is a construction development type use grading, and giving them authority to approve or
what-
deny.
So what would you suggest that we replace community development director with what? Community
Well-
development director or town designee, and replace it with what? Zoning administrator? Because we do have a zoning
Yes,
administrator.
zoning administrator, or
We have a town planner now, so we could
yeah,
do,
we could do town. If we're going, I guess what I'm saying is that was my first thought, zoning administrator. Second would be town manager. Who would then designate, but I would suggest that we utilize, unless we're going to hit pause on this for a month or two, and
No.
hold on, I don't think we want to
I
pause.
don't think
do
we do either, just for that.
Not
Because we
just for
have
that.
people within our organization that can certainly handle this
Why not,
task.
in your regard, with Riker's limited time here, with that 5-day, deem town manager or his designee, because then he's here every day.
Yeah, where Riker is not. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
so, yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
So that was my first question. So that was a question that I had too, Riker, what was asked of you on the exemption, and the ordinance as I read it doesn't specifically get as much detail into it just, my concern is either everybody has to submit a notice and allow staff 5 days to either say, no, you're not exempt, you got to go through this process, or not, or we just say it is basically self-determined in the application process. And if we object to it after the problem becomes is policing it and dealing with it after the fact. So, Mike, unless you can give me language where it indicates that it says, notice for certain exemptions, any person intending to commence grading, excavation, filling under a claimed agricultural exemption involving disturbance of 3,000 square feet or more, or under a claimed residential landscaping exemption involving a disturbance of 1,000 square feet or more. So those are the two instances. But we have non-disturbance of natural grade, minor grading residential. We have people determining how much they think that they're going to be grading.
That's what I was just thinking that as you were talking, that they're the ones that figuring out, oh, it's gonna be 3,000 square feet or 1,000 square.
So
feet.
you'd prefer it to be all one way or all the others, is what I'm gathering, correct?
Mhm.
Is there a particular direction that you'd prefer?
All one-way notice of exemption.
All one way notice, okay?
Yeah, any grading. And you define grading, which appreciate any grading requires them to file a notice.
So how do we want to handle the emergency situations? Like failure of utility
Except
system,
for emergency.
except for that one, okay?
I like that.
So we're talking about the pre-activity notice for certain exemptions where you
And
were
it should
reading
be
that about.
pre-activity notice requirement, period,
Okay.
not for certain.
But period, just
And we can
pre-activity
say
notice
at the
for
beginning,
exemptions.
except for emergency and public, emergency situations and public facility projects as set forth in D4, no person shall commence or perform any grading, excavating, without first having obtained a grading. Or submitting a notice. I was reading what you could put in C, referring to D at the very beginning.
Right. Split.
I'm not done, but you're welcome to make a comment.
She can wait till you're done.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. We've had a policy primarily in the town not to embed definitions inside of ordinances, but to keep them in our general definitions. However, I don't know that I've had a change of heart or thought on this, but I look at each one of these definitions and I cross-checked them against our general ordinances. And we don't have anything specific that is already defined. We do have a couple that are close in natural grade. We have a definition of grade. You refer to the term natural grade. And I'm just a little bit confused about the definition of substantial work. However, I think these definitions are very specific and they're specific to grading. And in that instance, I guess I'm not fully opposed because there's the argument, hey, does everyone go and look in the definition section at the beginning of chapter 16 or title 16, I should say, or can they look with and rely upon within the body of a specific type of use?
Should we put them in both places?
Wouldn't hurt.
I was
but
going to say we could add them
there's
to
no
the
harm.
definition
But
section, but still have them
I
in
guess
the
my
grading
comment was, I
section.
first read it and my first inclination was, well, we'll pull these out they need to go in the general definitions, but every single one of them, cut, fill, drainage study, engineered grading permit, which is very specific to this, excavation, filling, grading, land disturbance. So that's just a comment.
Well,
I'm fine with it staying in.
okay, because I was gonna say, I, as a general rule, even when I'm looking at state code, I start reading something and I immediately go to the definitions and I start looking at the definitions. I'm like, how do they
But
define
if you
it?
notice that individual acts within the state code have a definition section usually in the act itself. There is not like Title 78B of the Utah Code is definitions for all the other titles
No,
and
that's
all
true.
the other chapters
Yes,
within
each
the
chapter has
titles.
their when
Yeah.
like at state
No,
code,
it-
you go to chapter whatever, and the very first thing is definitions, and then there's
Yeah, we have
everything.
general definitions, I believe in chapter 2, if I remember correctly, and we have definitions for land use in Title 16. So that one's just a policy thing. I bring it up only in case council members feel strongly that that should be an amendment to Title 16, Chapter 2, isn't it? Section 16 is where or Section 12 is where the definitions are. So,
So that would be the resolution if we put them in both places and just left them in this ordinance?
you could leave them there.
Actually, you know what? This says, for purposes of this section, the following terms shall have the meanings indicated, terms not defined. Oh, no,
Yeah.
okay, I
Which is a
see.
standard. It says if,
They
if
still
there-
should go in 16.2.12.
Well,
In my opinion, they
Maybe,
should go in both.
These are so specific to this ordinance. I don't know if they need to go also into
Definition chapter.
definitions.
Okay.
My concern would be unintended consequences of putting that
you
in.
get too
that
you
section.
get too voluminous of a definition section and you're looking for a specific, you think it might be a defined term as something, but it's, yeah.
And then if you amend it, you gotta do both. I'd
Yeah,
assume
that's
keep it
true.
here and not do both
Yeah.
In this
Okay,
particular
I
instance.
agree.
Okay.
in this case.
Okay.
I agree
It-
with
it-
Keith.
it-
Generally, that's the way it should go,
Mhm.
but in this particular case, because of how
Yes.
confined to this ordinance they are, I'd like the
Yes.
idea of keeping them there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what's your other issue?
Well, I've got a couple of them.
Okay, well, what's your
Sorry.
next one?
And
Let's do
I,
that one. You want
um,
that's,
So in that same vein, there's references to page 40, line 110, single-family residential uses. This is one of the exceptions.
yeah, residential.
And we don't, there is, I see residences, let's see, was used.
Crystal, he's looking at page one, line 109. There you go. You got it. Okay.
So in our ordinances, we've always referred to them as not a residence. Now, some municipalities, and like when Riker prepares something like this, I gotta understand that he deals in multiple municipalities. Some municipalities refer to them as residences. In the town of Virgin, they've always been defined and referred to as dwellings.
Dwellings, yeah.
So I would like in that section for that exemption, I would call it a single family dwelling residential uses.
Okay. Add dwelling. Okay.
Yeah, add dwelling in there. Then a lot of this is fantastic and very, very good. Fees. So that's why Crystal ran off and I asked her for a copy of the fee schedule.
Oh,
Because if you go to page 44, paragraph I, which it starts around 270, the community development director, again, another one where anywhere where it says community development director, I think we should change to town manager.
Town manager.
But it says, and upon receiving complete application, including payment of applicable plan review and permit fees in accordance with the town's adopted fee schedule. We don't have that
Correct.
yet. I just would suggest, so most municipalities follow, it's kind of a combined set of fees. The International Building Code Appendix J, which is on grading specifically, it has a fee schedule which most municipalities follow, but there are some big quantities. I mean, I'd tell you, look at Washington County or City of St. George's, and they're big, but not every city follows that fee because it's just a recommended fee schedule. And then there's a plan review fee that's usually a percentage of whatever the permit fee is. And because we've got to have someone look at it, town engineer, look at it, and we got to pay him. And so I see those upwards of 60 to 65% of the actual grading
Fee.
fee.
So are you saying don't adopt this until we have the fees?
Oh, I'm
set?
not.
Yeah, I'm only asking what your point is.
So could we?
Because I was wondering about fees myself. I was
I
wondering
read through this whole thing, and that's the only place that I can see a reference to
to
fees. And
Could we adopt the fees subject to Appendix J unless a separate fee schedule is approved by the town? So it's kind of an interim until we get to our fee schedule.
yeah, what I'm saying though is the permit fee is a quantity cubic yard based fee.
Right.
Just and they come in with their plan and they identify how many cubic yards they believe they're going to, but it's done by someone other than just layman, Mr. Snow here. It's an engineer, civil engineer has probably done some topo analysis and come up with what they think is how many cubic yards they're going to. And you did a really good job. Your staff recommendation, that was the most detailed analysis I think I've ever seen on that. But then there is the review fee and what should be. If you would like to say adopt this with it, the permit fee being the same as the fees recommended in Appendix J of the International Building Code, and a plan review fee equal to 60 or whatever % of the permit fee, then I think we already know what, or as later amended. Because there are definitely, look at Apple Valley, look at Laverkin, they have, I was just looking at a few of those tonight and they differ. But Washington County, they follow Appendix J, St. George City follows, I believe Washington City follows.
And I like that because the minute we can enact it, we got a fee schedule, then we can take time and decide if that works for us or not.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that any developer who's done development work in Washington County expects that they're going to have to pay a grading permit fee. And they expect that they're going to have to pay for the plan review of their grading plan. And if we're doing it and we're not charging the fee, that's just, we're just bearing that.
Okay, so if I understood right, that what you are proposing is that Paul proposed that we would amend this section to say that grading fees would be pursuant to the International Building Code Appendix J, plus a plan fee of 60% of the
plan
permit
review,
fee.
yeah.
And of course, the permit fee is from Appendix J. Okay.
Or until later amended.
Or until later amended.
Yeah. Or until.
We look at it and say, hey, that's not covering our overall cost. Then maybe we do need to do that.
Or it's covering too much.
Or it's covering too much. It's not, yes. My last thing is reclamation bonds,
Where are you?
and that is page 46. Paragraph 333
Line
or
33.
section L, reclamation bonds. It's also talked about right at the
You went past the
end.
crystal, go back. There you go, right there.
Okay, what? Read this first sentence of it. It says, once the permit is issued, but before pre-construction meeting, the project proponent shall furnish a reclamation bond in an amount of not less than 100% of the work that the town may use to mitigate any potential hazards or disruptions caused by the grading work.
Well, we don't know what those are gonna be.
Like, okay, how do we hundred? And I understand that I think right at the very end, there's another, use of reclamation bond. This is for 433. Town may call upon or forfeit the reclamation bond to complete stabilization, restoration, reclamation of the site if the permittee fails to comply with this chapter or the conditions of the grading permit.
And where's that?
That's 433.
Oh,
Page
And
48.
so it's 333 and 433
Okay.
lines.
got it.
My point is that 100% of the work the town may use to mitigate any potential hazards or disruptions. That is not reclamation. Now, to me, if I heard this discussion about this windstorm, which was followed by some rain, which made for some ugly windows and other outdoor furniture, I'm sure, and things like that. There is Riker, you have great reference in there to, in a grading plan, they're going to have to identify how they're going to stabilize the graded site. And there are things such as, soil toppings and other types of things that can keep that to be done. My question is, a reclamation bond is if they get part of the way through it, or if they get or they get all the way through it, but no development ever occurs on it. My question is, how long do we hold those bonds? Because I know a surety bond under a performance, and again, I don't know if I would use the term in 337. It says they can either be a cash bond, an irrevocable letter of credit, or a performance bond issued by by a surety licensed to do business in the state of Utah. Well, surety companies aren't going to issue a bond for longer than like 2 years. And do we want to require a bond? Because someone may want to go out and grade their site and put out a really pretty sign that says commercial development parcel zoned, and think that it will market better when it's all cleared and grubbed and leveled and all that stuff. But then residents nearby deal with, is that 7 years? Is that before anyone ever comes around and buys it and develops on it, or what? So I think that we probably need to talk there. And I don't want to torpedo this from being adopted tonight, but I'm only pointing it out is that on a reclamation bond, it's how do you reclaim or mitigate the damages caused? You're either, you're not necessarily restoring it, but you're reclaiming it or mitigating it is the concept of reclamation, and for how long. And I don't know that anything other than a cash bond
Oh, okay.
is held by the town. Obviously, that amount goes away when final development occurs on it. Irrevocable letters of credit are limited to whatever the policies are of the bank or financial institution issuing the letter of credit, which could be longer than 2 years. But I think there needs to be a decision from a policy perspective by the council of how long. I don't know that we could require, hey, we think you need to pay us $100,000, put it into our bank account so we can hold it as a reclamation bond. And we'll hold it from now until, and
You're done.
oh yeah, we'll draw interest on it. Haha. There probably needs to be a period of time. Because at some point in time, like what I heard some of the discussion today is, I don't know if it's going to ever, I don't know the term I want to use, but Zion white bison. I remember hearing a lot of when it was first excavated, obviously there was a lot
Of dust.
and complaint. But over time and through different things, that soil has settled and does not appear to create as much of a problem. You put a pile of loose dirt in a stockpile or something like that, that's going to be a problem. That can be a problem. So I don't know. The question is, how long do you want to require a reclamation bond? And I don't think you should be doing it as a surety bond. And
So you're suggesting just a cash?
we could say cash or revocable letter of credit, but we may not find, but if we say it, which has to be held for the first 5 years or until final development occurs or permanent development occurs, whatever you want to say there, then that would be the thing. And if a bank says, we'll do a irrevocable letter of credit for 5 years, then that could still be an option to them. I just don't think sureties, they don't do long-term bonds like that. And the question is the amount, how is that calculated? I don't want us to be subjective. I don't want our town manager or designee to be saying, I think it needs to be $100,000. Just, and have an applicant challenge us. And we don't have a basis for determining that. So I don't know if I've ever looked too closely at what other municipalities do. They oftentimes require some sort of reclamation bond as protection for the public good as a whole. But
So I'm going to ask Darlene a question. I think this was the one when you were doing your report, Paul asked how many public hearings you had. Was that the grading ordinance?
Yes,
And so when did your first public hearing take place? Any
I'd
idea?
have to go back and research that last year.
It was last year?
Like November or
Larry
something,
McCray
wasn't it?
was part
And
of
we're
the
in May.
conversation.
Okay. Okay, if it started in November and we're now in May, we should not let this go past tonight.
Well, yes, if we come up with a solution.
If we come up with,
If we can't
yeah,
come
I'm
up
just
with a
concerned.
solution with 30
Well,
days with.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem is that once we have our first public hearing, the pending
order.
ordinance is 6 months, 180 days.
So
And we're 180 days. If they start in November, we're at 180 days. and-
when's this 180 days in?
He doesn't know.
That she doesn't know. That's why I
Off the
asked
top of
when
my
was her
head, I
first
could
public
find
hearing.
out.
And she thought her first
I keep
public,
everything.
she thought her first public hearing was in November and this is now
That's what
May.
I'm thinking.
Crystal can check for us.
I'm pretty sure it was then, around then.
Because we can always hold a special meeting if we need to.
I think the way to do it is a percentage of the estimated cost or a accepted bid for the grading costs. That does leave the town to some exposure of a developer lowballing what his cost is going to be when he's filing his, grading permit application. But if,
So if you say 110% of the estimated cost,
is it going to cost, here's a question for you, is it going to cost 100%
that's
to
the,
mitigate, damage and or to say we need to go and have it scarifed a little bit and seed put down or something to regrow some vegetation to hold it, or we put soils binder, have some come in and do soils. Is that going to be as much as excavating, a couple 100,000 cubic yards of soil? No, that's not going to be that cost. So my question is, and Rod may have some good ideas on that, but I think that the application part of the grading permit or the grading plan needs to identify that the engineer does. If it's an engineered one, for sure, the engineer has to identify in his plan the estimated cost of doing the grading, and then we base it off of percentage.
I have here.
November
one,
12th
two-
was the public hearing. on the
November
grading
12th
ordinance.
was the first one.
November 12th? Okay, we're already past I think we're past the 180 days already.
Huh.
November 12th. Oops, shoot, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna open up my computer just to calculate 180 days from November 12th.
so it'd be May,
Today's the 19th.
so we're past it.
That's what I figured. We're past
Past
it.
180 days.
So not necessarily because like February has 2 days off, not every month is the same. We're close though. May I, is it a suggestion to pass it and as part of the amendments that this section on reclamation bonds is refined? We already have to refine that other permit, not the permit, but the exception section. And that we pass this with the intent that these amendments will be coming up shortly.
Well, I have written down all the different amendments that, I was just concerned that we won't be able to remember all of the amendments.
Well,
To when if we were to make a motion to approve subject to these amendments, do we really have them all clear? That's all.
me and Mark were just talking, we've got to come up with a better process. Maybe my involvement at the work meeting stage or at the planning commission stage.
Needs to be a planning
Because
commission.
my review of it in preparation for this meeting is not, I feel like I'm torpedoing a very good grading ordinance. I want to make it very clear, but there are some things from a legal perspective, I think that we're too ambiguous on. How we do these reclamation bonds, very important because we need to protect the neighbors and everything else. All of those types of things and the fee amounts. and
So
stuff
some of
like
these, we can do amendments with no problem tonight.
Yes.
I'm just more worried about this reclamation
What
than
you could
anything.
do, as he said, is you do a lower bond and we're subject to
And then we can
undercutting
revise it.
ourselves, but then we come back and
Then we
amend
come
it.
back and
Okay.
amend it.
All right. Okay, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 amendments. I don't know what You were right.
I-
You were
I-
right quite a bit. I don't know what
I'm-
you did,
I'm
but I
just
got
making
5
notes.
amendments.
I haven't made the amendment, so
What was the suggested percentage of that?
Uh,
Just so I can make a note of it.
20%, 10%?
I'm looking at our town engineer. Let's do 25%. Inflation. But no, I think that is a very real thing. So the language needs to be on a standard grading plan, one that's not engineered. I want to make sure. Does the standard grading permit, it does not.
It does not require a bond.
Doesn't.
Does not require a bond, so only engineered. Well, so then just put in there that the amount has to be placed in the actual plan, the estimated amount.
Include
Because
that
then
as-
it's their engineer who has to keep some credibility, they're licensed and bonded, and they're gonna say an amount. And if they cave to a developer asking them, please, lowball, I guess we have to deal with that, but there's an honor code and we have to trust that engineers are going to put relatively accurate things. And it can even be an estimate of cost as reviewed and approved by our town engineer. It's the same thing we do with bonding for like subdivision and stuff like that. They have to come up with an estimated cost of building all the public improvements, or they have to show us that they have a contract with someone to build them. We go off of their contract price or the engineer's estimate of cost.
Okay,
Maybe we'll just say the town engineer's estimated cost, because if their engineer doesn't put that on the plans for some reason or something, then it could be something we'd have to go back.
Yeah, part of the part of the grading plan.
Calculated and shown in the grading plan. Then the truth is, we're talking about, well, lowball this, you don't have to pay quite as much.
Not that.
but so much money.
It's not that
Well,
much.
there is this is engineering now. There is a quantity.
Yeah.
It's a real number. They have to determine it in some way. And then, yeah, the town engineer can definitely confirm, verify, tell the town council that their number stinks and.
okay. So what I need to know, so
How to
I
do
have,
it.
I,
A reclamation bond in the amount. We need to have in the section on engineered grading permits, one of the items that's required in the engineered grading plan is an engineer's estimate of cost to perform the grading. Then we need to say in the reclamation bond section in 333 that they need to post either a cash or an irrevocable letter of credit, a reclamation bond in the form of cash or irrevocable letter of credit in the amount of 25% of the engineer's estimate of cost as reviewed and approved by the town's engineer.
okay,
He's got that,
I know.
a detailed narrative complaining estimate of volumes and cubic yards are cut and fill.
where are you?
So it is online.
Well, he has quantities.
But that's not the cost of the
He has
grading.
quantities. What is the cost to move it? See, and local engineers, they're dealing with getting bids and prices on excavation grading projects all the time, and they know, and they can, and Rod's gonna look at it and say, you're telling me you're only pulling this many cubic yards off that? What about that great big hill over there?
So I was going to say, all you have to do is add including costs to that
Okay,
queue.
yeah.
What item are you looking at?
It's on line 237.
237?
237. This is in the engineered grading permit. And in Q, it says a detailed narrative containing an estimate of the volumes in cubic yards or of cut and or fill and the area of the site to be graded, including cost estimate.
Yeah, and engineers, well, that's, yeah.
And that will
This
take
w-
care of the reclamation bond?
No, that will
Oh.
take care of the idea that we'll have an estimate.
We'll have an
And
estimate of cost.
then with the
Then you prevent-
reclamation bond,
Then you just say
we can add a
25% of the
percentage of
estimated
that,
cost
25% of
identified.
the
in-
cost of the estimate. It's a lot. I know.
Okay, I can tell you the 4 of the 5 amendments, whatever we're talking about with reclamation bond and the engineered permit is over my head and I'm not going to
think
be
I-
able to propose
I
the
think we
language.
could probably nail it all.
Okay, what did you want to say, Darlene? Because
I
we've been here
understand,
now
But one of
way
the,
longer than I thought.
one
we
of the
would.
concerns expressed by the public that we had allayed their fears about was if I just wanted to plant a garden, would I have to get a permit?
No,
If you, is that, if we go with, they have, the town for any exemption has to be notified through, is that gonna cause a problem for those people?
So you're concerned that people who want to go plant a garden are going to have to notify us and wait the 5 days. Heath, what's your interpretation of that if we do that pre-activity requirement for all?
the thing is, my thought, if we're doing this pre-activity notice for all exemptions, that it's required, I mean, we're only talking, we've got 5 days to give them an answer, right? So, I mean, how fast are they planning to get out there and plant this
I
garden?
think what
If I
Dar-
want to plant a garden in my yard, I have to ask the town for permission.
Yeah, I think we're overstretching.
Yeah, I do.
So
Yeah.
Way over-
That's why you have to,
Okay, what's the solution? I'd love to hear it.
would pull that one out as an exemption, not requiring, and maybe the emergency and public facilities project, not requiring town notice.
Huh. The utility one, I would think should. I mean, they can go ahead and do it. It's an emergency. They just still have to tell us after the fact.
But then just the residential one and just have under exemptions, no town notice required.
Well, given how people will, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
But
I would recommend that we give some kind of definition of what we mean by a garden, because otherwise, who
Didn't-
knows? what
didn't
you
we
get
have
done.
a square foot? Was it 1,000?
Yeah, it's 1,000 square feet.
was 1,000 in one.
The way that it's currently worded was that if it's a residential disturbance over 1,000 square feet, they had to notice. But if it was under 1,000 square feet, they would not.
So we could leave that there over 1,000 square feet and then and just say exemptions shall not require a grading permit and just put under 1,000 square feet residential. And then requiring town notice, it would be basically an A and a B. A1 and
This is-
B
this is
1,
so many changes.
1, 2, 3.
This is what-
1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me.
I mean, I'm losing track.
So doesn't number 3 cover that, though? It says non-disturbance of natural grade, minor grading, residential, excavation, filling, or clearing that does not disturb the natural grade of more than 2,000.
But he's.
That's the intent of that exemption, is to take into account things like gardening because you're not changing the natural grade.
So is it a possibility, if there's something that is a big red flag that wouldn't trigger another public hearing tonight, like the bond one? Perhaps that we can make that change? Leave the rest as is, I think between Riker and myself and the mayor, we have all the others down. And then come up next month with
Amendments.
amendments.
Yeah, like I said, when we start talking about exemptions, either you got to make it all noticed or just kind of self-policed, and only. And the way, I mean, you're bringing up the issues of gardening, septic tanks, things like that. I get all of those things, not changing the natural grade, but who as a layperson knows whether or not if they're
Right.
going to go and till up, and we have some decent sized lots and properties here, they're gonna go and they got an acre and they're gonna take the back half acre and they're gonna.
Right, that's what I'm worried about is that if, like I said, if we give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile, and so
They're
just,
gonna say, am I just, do I know whether or not I'm disturbing the natural grade? Is all of a sudden the water gonna slope back into my backyard neighbors?
Yeah.
Or is it still gonna flow back towards the street? I don't know. So,
okay, so how are we gonna do this? Because we'd really like to be able to adopt the grading ordinance tonight. I don't want to wait another month for this. So I'm just wondering, as Paul was saying, we go by the pages and say, what amendment on this page, this page, this page, and go down that way, because I had 5 amendments here, but now we've got 6, and now we've got another.
You might
And it's
have
like,
more.
oh my God.
My only
We'll
issue
be
is
here all
the
night.
1,000 cubic yards. I think it's too low. I am all for a grading permit. I think wording is great, a lot of good things, but I think that classification is too low. Done calculation
Okay.
just on my house alone, and I was at 1,500 cubic yards.
What's your schedule?
Well, my solution to that problem in
It's just
the
a
beginning,
general
after looking at Riker's
Oh.
analysis, was that we could exempt residential dwellings up to 4,800.
But
Square
you're
feet.
then 4,800, are you taking into account garage space?
Well, our ordinance says that,
It's
so it would
living
be based on our ordinance.
living space.
Yes.
Then you add on garage space. That's where my calculations came up to 1,500 cubic yards just on my house and garage.
Okay, so here's the proposal that we have. We will come back 2 days from now, Thursday night, and pass this with the changes. We've got too many changes right now to try to do this, too many amendments. And this gives us time for you to put the amendments in. We can't notice it for tomorrow night. It's too late. There's not 24-hour notice, but we can for Thursday. I'm available, Paul's available, I'm available, Valerie's available. April, what are you?
What, Thursday night,
Thursday night.
like 6?
Yeah.
Okay, I can make that.
What about you, Jim?
Yeah.
Thursday.
I can.
Okay. Mark,
I can attend.
Thursday,
so
6 o'clock?
at 6.
I should
but
be, I'll check. I have to pick up a daughter at the airport, but should
Okay.
be later than.
She's just gonna have to
Stay.
take an Uber.
We know an Uber guy.
Oh, he's gonna, I assume you'll appear by Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah, I have another meeting that I have to be at.
Well,
It
hopefully-
starts at 7. I probably don't need to be
You
present.
know
till
what?
7.
No,
Yeah,
we can
if
do
you-
it. with
So
the
if I could
formula.
if I could do Zoom, that would.
What's the
allow me
Thursday night?
to do it.
Okay. Okay.
So. what
So
did we
you
say-
can attend by Zoom, but you can make the changes that we've been talking about. We could get it done
Yeah.
and get it to us, even though you're not. What day is today? Today's Tuesday, so you do work here tomorrow. Okay, so you could go to work on this and get it to us, and then we would be able to post it for a meeting on Thursday night.
Just for this
And then
one
get
thing.
it to you so that you can look at it for changes and see if anything. So,
That's better than trying to wordsmith it tonight. and-
yes, that's what I think.
So,
And I'm-
yeah, I think we need to address Jim's concerns, though. I personally don't want to raise the cubic yard amount from 1,000 cubic yards. But I do understand how with residential dwellings that it would be good to be able to treat them all the same. Because if you have a 2,400 square foot home with a garage, they would be basically exempt. But a 4,800 square foot home that we allow in our ordinance may not be exempt because with the garage, it would be maybe more. So I wonder if there's some way we can address that without raising the limit for everything, like, you know, just for residential dwellings. I don't know. Riker, maybe take a shot at that.
Okay,
So-
do you,
So you're wanting to raise the threshold, but only for residential? Am I understanding
Keeping
that correctly?
residential
Oh,
up
just-
to 4,800 living space at a standard grading permit, still has a grading permit,
okay,
but he's not
Okay.
adding that extra
not
$1,000
projecting them.
cost.
okay,
Build-
okay. Before we go on talking about this with the 4,800 square feet on the houses, I was not planning to bring this up for probably another 2 or 3 months, but I'll bring it up tonight since we're talking about this. Remember, we passed this size of 4,800 square feet living space, blah, 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 blah. And we were waiting for the results of the groundwater protection study. And the groundwater protection study is set for a hearing with the Division of Water Quality on June the 24th, and then after that, we're done. And we will have the final approved plan from the state. And there's going to be some unhappy people when they see what's in the groundwater protection study, and the houses are going to have to be smaller. They're going to have to be way smaller than 4,800 square feet. So
Really? Without a sewer?
without a sewer,
Okay.
with septic, they're defining an ERU as 237 gallons per day.
Okay.
1 ERU per acre,
Okay. wow.
237
So
gallons per day.
that,
That's
very-
very small.
yes.
And so we will have to amend the code with the 4,800 square feet. We're going to have to reduce that quite a bit. So I don't know how that's going to play into what you guys are talking about with these cubic yards and this
Maybe you
4,800
could just
square feet,
leave the
because we're going to have to
1,000
change
cubic
that.
foot amount or
Hey.
1,000 cubic yards for now. And then when that comes up, we
I
can
I
address.
wanted you guys to be aware of what we were saying, and I wanted Heath to be aware.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very
so
interesting.
1 ERU, it's going to limit 1 ERU per acre, and an ERU is going to be defined as 237 gallons per day, not 800 gallons per day, which is what an ERU is. For us, it's
Currently.
going to be 237. That's a small house. That's what the groundwater protection study is going to have in it.
Okay.
So I can't see how you could
Not
have a
having
4,800 square foot
Yeah,
living
not having
space and
read the preliminary version of it to be approved, is that unless they do some sort of, can they do a,
they can do a study and if they can provide an engineering study that, I can't remember exactly what the words were, Rod, but, basically if they can provide an engineering study that says, it has less impact on the, acreage, that they could go more. But they have to have an engineering studies to support. So they've got the burden of
or
proof is
can
on the
they
developer.
offset that by doing some sort of package or
Yes.
localized
Yes. Yes, they could.
wastewater treatment
Yes.
or a regional sewer?
Yes, for like a subdivision could do a regional sewer, yes. But they have, the burden of proof is going to be on the developer. Otherwise is 237 gallons per day.
Wow.
And so,
But
That-
for an individual homeowner? Oh.
Gonna limit the size a lot.
Wow.
that's going to limit the
People
size.
Who own building lots with the intent of, wow.
So and you guys, and I wasn't going to bring this up. I was going to
Right.
wait till we had the actual study
Okay.
finalized and then say, okay, now we have to address the size of homes that we previously said we were putting in place. And we specifically said when we passed it that we were waiting for the results of the groundwater protection study.
Mhm.
And so now we're getting the results, the final report, they're just doing their presentation to the DWQ next month. And so since you guys were focusing on the 4,800 square foot living space in regards to this excavation, I'm like, well, you might as well know that's going to change.
So are you okay, Jim, then if we leave it at 1,000 cubic yards until
No.
we find, you're not?
What are you looking?
That's just my opinion.
Mhm.
One.
Well,
What are you
I'm
look-
asking you because you have that
I'm,
opinion.
I would like to see it go at least 15 to 2,000. That's it. But my house, I'll be honest, calculation, I was at 1539.
So, yes, but if we are limiting the size
Size
of the
of the houses
houses, that
to some-
changes the whole dynamic.
My living space is 2375.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
Well-
you still did 1539 in
15, that's
excavation.
why this is,
Okay.
that's why I'm
Okay.
saying, I mean, I could have put on a living space on my lot, 5,200 square feet of living space. I'm half of that on my current lot. That's why I say the
Hmm.
calculation.
I don't know. Who did those calculations? You?
Me,
Or, oh, okay.
and they were analyzed by others.
Mm-hmm.
So is 1,000 kind of the standard around the county?
It
or-
is.
It is? Okay.
From my reading and studying about that. So it's pretty typical.
Okay, what if we, when we get the final report, and they say, okay, and then we have to adopt it.
Mhm.
The town adopts this study, then we, amend the size of the houses in the residential and rural residential zone, what the amount of living space could be, and then could we adjust maybe as part of that ordinance in the future, the amount of cubic yards that would be excavated as part of that? Because I mean, we could start with 1,500 now unless you guys are really
1,000.
opposed to that. And then reduce it when we reduce the size of houses. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Well, I think that given all the other, because I found the same thing in looking at different municipality sizes, and this is right in
With everybody else.
with
Okay.
everybody else.
Okay.
Why would we go?
Why
be
go more?
different?
Okay.
Our
Yeah.
geotechnical is about the same as the local
Okay.
communities.
All right.
So one other thing is that you had recommended that we clarify the language on the engineering grading permit definition. Is there any reason why we can't just put that in the engineering grading permit? Now is,
Yeah,
As
I
a-
mean, if the council wants to add that, then yes, we
Did he-
we can add that
okay.
in, especially where you're gonna consider it on Thursday.
so in Riker's analysis, it's in section D, recommended clarification, and it's basically
Go back
talking
page.
about
Go
a
back. a
cut
page.
only basis and a
We're looking for
clear
section D.
for net fill above natural
Okay.
grade. And then he has down on the next page.
Where are you? What page are you on?
It's in the staff report,
It's in
Oh,
the
in the
staff
staff?
report.
not in the.
Yes.
ordinance
Oh,
right now.
okay.
And it's just to clarify how the cubic yards are calculated and that they're based off of the cut measurements. And they only take into account the fill measurements if they are filling greater than what the existing grade is. If the proposed grade is going to be higher than the existing grade.
So we would have to fill in the blank that you have with an X would be like more than 1,000 cubic yards of earth material from its natural position. And then what was the suggestion? Would it still be 1,000 cubic yards of fill above the natural grade or?
Apparently. Okay, so if we're going to continue this to Thursday night, what all do we need to make a motion to continue this to May 21st and then make these amendments and then we come back? Or do we just say we're continuing it to May 21st? And he's going to make the amendments we
Continuing
discussed
to May 21st, for having staff bring back proposed amendment.
with the amendments that we discussed or something like that, that we just
In
discussed.
accordance.
And we
with-
don't have to go into detail.
No,
as to
in
what the amendments
accordance with our discussion
All right.
And then we'll have a chance to read them and
Okay.
refine them.
Do we want to to use that clarifying language in the grading permit definition that he's suggesting? That would be an amendment, but we have to kind of agree that he would. Yes, it's the clarifying language for the engineering grading permit. Did you read that? I do too. That's why I do too.
Okay. So I don't know if you caught all of that, Riker. Yes, you got it all. Okay.
So I guess, Riker, at this point, we'll just use this 1,000 cubic yards of earth material from its natural position. And then, so resulting in a net increase in grade elevation requiring placement of more than X cubic yards of fill above the natural grade. I'm not sure I understand what that is. How we would come up with that quantity.
Yeah, so it's just the quantity that they raise it above the natural grade
Okay,
is added to the cubic yard amount. So those calculations. So the intent here is to make it so that we are not double counting when they're doing over X and having to compact.
right.
We're not double counting what they're excavating and then what
They're
they're
putting it right back
putting
in.
it right back. It's just if they raise it above the existing grade, then the amount they raised it above the existing grade would need to be calculated to determine where it falls.
Okay, but we have to fill in that cubic yard amount. Is that just 1,000 then?
Yeah, so that would just be whatever the threshold in the engineered grading permit is. So if that changes, then that
Okay.
number changes.
All right.
I move that we continue agenda item number 3 until Thursday, so May 21st at 6 PM, directing staff to bring back amendments to this ordinance in accordance with our discussion tonight for our review and possible adoption of this ordinance and amendments that they propose.
I second.
Aye.
Okay. So now all we need is a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So he's going to take you on a tour and
That's my
then
house.
we'll have a Zoom call on May